What does your favorite anime say about your taste? Part 2. Marvel and DC aren't able to satisfy all of your desires when it comes to superheroes. If you could choose between Spider-Man and a hot pink slime, you would instantly know what to pick. The Frog Girl, of course. You just want your superpowers more over the top, and an anime like Boku no Hero luckily is able to be a little bit more creative with it. Besides that, you still enjoy your basic shonen shenanigans like the power of friendship. But there's one thing that makes you unpredictable, and that's whether you love or hate a certain spiky-haired bomb dude. At the end of the day, you just really enjoy the show because of its character diversity and power system. But you still hope it doesn't get milked too hard in the future. At a time when you thought that Isekai became stale and boring, this show dropped in like your drunk uncle at last year's Christmas party, unannounced and depressed. But with the small difference that you want this anime to not go away. You love it when an Isekai actually explores the main character's background and shows believable actions that makes them more human than overpowered. Although probably a good 80% of you guys will never forgive Subaru for dumping the blue-haired girl. And no, I'm not making that joke now. What draws you into ReZero the most is the serious atmosphere, the mysteries and the experiences, because you love depression. Not your own though. At least, I hope so. Over with the gloomy stuff, let's talk about something more uplifting. Funnily enough, despite being complete opposites, we still keep the depressed main character and the useless bluehead. It's just a joke, I love Rem. And I love KonoSuba, just like you. Coming across genuinely funny anime is not an easy task, and you probably watch this show at least once a year just to feel the connections to the characters again. The lovable cast, stupid situations and slapstick moments are the reason why this show is so special to you. And while loving all of the characters, you probably disliked Kazuma at first, but it didn't take long for you to say, oh my god, he's just like me for real. I actually wouldn't be surprised if you're thinking about rewatching it right now, because I certainly do. When a Quentin Tarantino movie meets over-the-top anime. Whenever you ask someone why Durarara is their favorite show, there's one thing every answer has in common. It's storytelling. And that most likely counts for you too. A bunch of different characters, each with their own life and problems, raw action and many different threads that connect nicely together with every episode. Those are the things you want from a story, and therefore you struggle to find more like that, because making use of many characters and not just focusing on one main hero, while also keeping a good pacing, is something you don't find that often in modern anime. There are a few other shows that are worth mentioning, but chances are high you've already watched most of them. You might have to wait a bit for your next 11 out of 10 anime, but it will come one day. Probably. Who doesn't love popular anime tropes like trauma, existential crisis and public urination? Well, I guess you don't, but that doesn't diminish your love for Made in Abyss. Because in the same way that this show was able to traumatize you, it also managed to get you invested in its scary, obscure, yet immensely interesting world. You enjoy watching a big adventure involving actual risks and a lot of crazy mysteries that are somehow getting even more crazier once you learn about them. You would like to force people who are calling Made in Abyss a children's show to watch some special handpicked episodes, but also fear that this would make their prejudices even worse. It's more than enough that at least you have a good time with this show, even if your eyes need some wholesome My Little Pony afterwards. Kaguya-Sama is your favorite show for one simple reason, because it's a rom-com that's actually funny. You love it when a show feels more real in a sense that you can relate to some of its characters or situations. And the mix between romance and well-timed comedy moments combined with characters that are kinda tropey but don't feel that way at all makes for a really fun ride from start to end. This show is exactly what you always wanted. Funny wholesomeness with only a little bit of drama. I guess your favorite character is Ishigami because he's the most relatable. But in case you didn't experience an emo phase in your life, then it's probably the narrator. Kaguya-Sama let you see rom-com anime in a new light, and that's why it will always have a special place in your heart. You enjoy a darker story that is able to introduce a fucked up world which manages to feel real in its own fiction. Playing around with and diving into human psychology makes an anime like Psycho-Pass very intriguing and interesting to you. Whenever you get reminded of its first season, you wish that the following ones would be just as good. But they aren't. Well, you know the famous saying, better to have laughed and lost than never to have laughed at all. In the end, the showcasing of dystopian future scenarios, if done right, will never get old for you, and this show definitely did it right. An atmospheric, well thought out world sprinkled with some of the best animations and fight choreographies ever seen in shonen anime. For most people that's reason enough to really like and enjoy this show. But you go one step further, because you know every character by name, their birthdays, and probably also their blood types. Including all of the points I've already talked about, you also love shows with characters that have deep bonds between each other, and villains that feel so overwhelming that they don't just drop dead by the power of friendship. Demon Slayer gives you the perfect package deal when it comes to shonen shows, and while the wait for a new season can be quite hard, you already know that it will be worth it in the end. You are angry, because there are so many people sleeping on this show. Gritty and epic Viking action is what you initially wanted, and that's exactly what you got. Along came a story which follows a simple principle, but got executed so well that you found yourself getting addicted to it so fast that the 24 episodes were gone in no time, just like his dad. You also think that the main antagonist is the best character in the show, with which I totally agree. With that, Vinland Saga showed you that it's not just a bait for fans of Nordic themes, but instead presented one of the best revenge plots in a while. And seriously people, go watch Vinland Saga. For you cultured person, I think no words could describe your taste in this anime better than actual scenes, so we just do that. You're horny. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribe to the channel if you want to support me even more. Also, let me know in the comments if you would like to see another part in this series and tell me what your favorite anime is. As always, I hope you're having a wonderful day and I will see you in the next video. Until then, peace.